Step 1, wake up early, gon' rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. You always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gon' rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
The day I met Bullhorn Betty and Jonathan Lee Ridges, they were protesting in front of the Laundrie's home. I began to document them, and little did I know, the three of us would spend the next few months traveling together. Nothing scares us, even if it means crossing a freezing cold river and getting wet. We put our lives in danger because we want to find answers. It gives us purpose, even if it means going undercover to get those answers, or visiting the scene of a crime and paying our respects. Searching for the truth isn't easy. It gets you out of your comfort zone and makes you see things in a different perspective. And it's this perspective that we want the world to see. At the end of the day, we fight for justice. We fight for those who don't have a voice. We fight for those who were silenced. Our next case, we search for Paula Miranda. She was last seen swimming in this river. Here's our Paula's family. Found 2 footprints they believe belonged to her. She left her phone and keys in her car. Her sister tells us that's extremely unusual for her to do that. Stay tuned as we venture deep into Wekiwa Springs State Park to help find her.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Happy Saturday, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great this weekend. Maybe many of you guys have got nothing to do. Here in Florida, it's pouring down rain outside. So if for any reason the internet goes down, which happens when it rains, I will hotspot the phone. We will be back up. Just be patient. It's been really, really bad here. Today's segment is actually inspired by Dolly Vision. Yesterday, it was inspired by Duty Ron, talking about the whole situation related to the recovery of the car. And, some of the things that they botched, Duty Ron came out. He brought his friend. I can't remember his name. Sorry about that. He has a lot of, a few regulars that come on his show. But for whatever reason, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's in forensics, and he was talking about how this was a forensic nightmare, them bringing this whole thing up. We've on Zav's channel the other day, Doug Bishop was there kind of with, what is his name? Tyler Feller, I believe it is. Ed Wallace. Thank you. Thank you guys. Ed Wallace. So yeah, he was there. Yeah. And I hear that we're going to get to that Rolling Stone. We're going to get to that in just a second. But I hear that this is, forensically a nightmare, the way that they had handled this whole entire extraction of the car out of this water. Windows were busted, damage was done to the vehicle. We don't know if anything was cataloged under the water. All these things are going on with the Kiely Rodni case, and we're just scratching our heads wondering what in the world were they thinking? How, we're kind of, a lot of people are starting to get really concerned about the ability to be impartial in analyzing this entire case. A lot of us were, I shouldn't say us, because I wasn't part of the noise back then. This noise is not really becoming noise anymore. It's starting to lean one way or the other. Many people have issues. They started very early on, before Kiely was even found, about potential corruption in the area. That might have been being leaked from people that are in and around the community. I don't know. Today's a sad day for many of us here, for many of us around the country and around the world. We're not able to attend Kiely's memorial. And I believe it is going on now or is coming up later today. Either way, Kiely's celebration of life is today. So we just want to say a prayer for her family and friends. This has got to be very hard. It's got to be a very emotional day for all those that are affected. The people that are responsible for this, we obviously have to pray for them too, So just a lot of prayers today all the way around. It's nice to see you guys. I actually have, I'm going to be opening up this phone line fairly quickly today, because I've got some, bullet points of different things, of topics that I want to talk about, but I really want to get your opinions on this, because according to Dolly's live, all roads lead to Sami. It appears to us that, Sami is part of this Mean Girls Club. Sami was the one that really took the lead in finding Kiely. She was in the forefront of all this. She conducted the interviews. She collected evidence. She was almost the gatekeeper to law enforcement for these kids. And I have never, hey, Cotton Candy Boobs, nice to see you. And everybody else in here. I just happened to see her. I haven't seen her in here, but the chat's been crazy, right? Since this case really, started just going crazy. We were a tight-knit group here, not quite as extravagant as we've been getting in here for quite a long time. Since the beginning of the Summer Wells case, have we had chat as crazy as it's been. I mean, like even right now, this is a very calm. She was killed by. Let's see what Rolling Stone says. She was killed by somebody and told down the hill, in my opinion. And it's funny because that's not the first time I've heard that. It's just not the first time I heard that. People are questioning this tow truck driver, and we went over it a little bit this morning on Dolly Vision's channel. We got to see Ryan Upchurch too. It's always nice seeing him pop into. Maybe I'm just starstruck. I don't know. I think he's just a pretty cool guy. He's just chill. And I'm starting to understand his thought process a little better. So, and I almost think that he's clever, because there's a couple times that I go back and I watch some stuff. I can't really spend a whole lot of time on other people's YouTube channels, but I do try to get educated and familiar, especially with people, that I kind of think that's what we do, because I think we all have, I don't know, trust issues. I guess is the way to describe it on YouTube. We all have trust issues here. There's no denying that. Like if you're on YouTube and you've been on YouTube for a while, or anything like, right, you get trust issues. You don't know when you're going to turn around and have to start pulling, knives out of your back. You got your friends 1 minute, and the next minute you guys are like, ready to, it's like DEFCON, it's just crazy on here some days. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. So, I think when you kind of, you always, or back off and you just watch them from afar just to see if they're your people or not. That's just the way it is. We all have trust issues. I have to be honest with you. You can't be a creator on YouTube without forming some trust problems. So, but anyway, she took the lead, right? She took the lead on this. She was interviewing. She was part of the search process. She coordinated the teen-to-teen meetings to filter information. She collected videos, photography, again, to collect information. She pointed out Kiely's belt. These are all these things that are just popping in people's minds saying it can't be. But my question is, are we focusing so much on Sami that we are forgetting that there were other people at this party that could have done some terrible things and been responsible for this and have nothing to do with her horrible friends? I mean, are we getting so tunnel vision on one person that we're not looking at our peripheral vision? There were a lot of kids here, 400 upwards, right? I mean, that's what we're hearing. We originally were told between 200 and 300. Then we hear law enforcement saying that they've interviewed almost 400 kids in connection with this party. I mean, that's a lot. Also, some things that you guys didn't know about this whole situation is, let me see if I can find it and pull it up here real quick for you guys. I'm just curious. Like, I don't want to have tunnel vision. I feel like, I've been wrong about, you guys have followed me through this, and I appreciate you guys, I appreciate your candor and stuff like that. But you guys followed me through this. You guys knew I was team accident at the very beginning of this. Absolutely, hands down, team accident. It was other people that were pointing out the problems and the inconsistency in these young folks' stories. But I was team accident and argued my point. You guys came up here and argued your point. And, now we have the Adventures with Purpose video out. I'm starting to look and look at Sami, because everybody's been so, pointed at Sami and these kids and the potential of entanglement and stuff like that. But, could it just be another piece of crap? I mean, it sounds like these kids out here in this particular area, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, just seem like they're fueled on booze and substances and have no care in the world, and parents aren't making them accountable. And I mean, it's almost like kids gone wild out here in the Prosser campground in the Truckee, Tennessee, or Truckee, California area. I seriously don't know. But she states that she called 3 minutes after we have been told by law enforcement that the phone was forensic, like they did forensics on, you know, whatever. They pulled all the paperwork and everything else like that. Misty, I'll be right with you, hon. Thank you for coming up, by the way. But that 3-minute difference, like her phone went off and checked out at 12:33, but Sami was so adamant about a 12:36 time when she spoke to her, implying that they drank and ingested the same things. She implied they were close friends when her and Kiely, we find out, weren't all that close. Sami mentioned wanting to fight someone that bullied her, and Adventures with Purpose state that Kiely was fighting with somebody shortly before, you know, she disappeared, or at least that's their understanding. Unconfirmed allegations that Sami went home wet. Allegations that Sami had cuts and bruises on her. I mean, for everybody out there in YouTube world that are listening to these things from all these different channels are naturally going to point you to Sami, right? Because that's who they kind of set their sights on. And, you know, all of her inconsistencies, all of her weird behavior, all of her, you know, controlling behavior, her wanting to be involved in every aspect of this search, it just kind of, and then we find out that she really wasn't as good of friends as we were led to believe. And we're all sitting back, scratching our heads saying, what? Right? So, you know, but are we focusing on such bad behavior from Sami that we're losing sight of other potential suspects or persons of interest that could be responsible for something like this? I actually brought up, we go, oh, Misty, if you want to come back up, I just wanted you to sit just for a second. I'm not ready for that one yet. Let me see which ones I got. Give me just a second. I got to find what I'm looking for. No, that's not it. Wish I could label these a little better behind the scenes, but I can't. So, where is it? There's one in here of a kid. I got to find it. And his name, he came up on the, let me go back to my Gmail. But I'll sit here and talk while I'm looking for it. But there's a couple of people. We brought up one of the people on this channel, that Nate Kabakugan, I think is the name that we used for him. And oh wow, you guys are already starting to send some more stuff to me. I gotta say, I've never seen my email so popping. I mean, when I first opened this email, it was popping quite a bit, but then all of a sudden, like I'm getting like hundreds of emails a day. So, I mean, kudos to you guys. I really, even if I'm not responding to you, I like, even this morning, I didn't come on until 12:30. I've been working literally since I got off the live. And I was working before Dolly went live. I paused to look up some stuff for his live. And then I'm here. But from there to here, I've been seriously just looking through all of this. But there is, let me see if I can find it. There is another person that was brought to my attention over and above. Oh, thank you, Miss Robin. I appreciate it. Over and above what we've seen. Is this it? Yep, here it is. I've got it now. Give me just a second. Let me pull this stuff up. Actually, I think if I go back here, I can just pull it up as one. Hold on a second. Let me open this up. Here we go. I've got him up now. Oh, Clayton is back. Give me just a second, Clayton, and I'll have you up in just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Okay. So here we go. Here's another person right here of a person of interest that could, you know, these are just people. These are other people that I just don't think we're diving into enough. And here's one here that wasn't too far away. They're showing that the Grass Valley thing, but here we go. An 18-year-old, August 29th, 18-year-old Matthew. And this is the reason why I'm bringing this up, is because I told you guys yesterday, I have about 40 or so. I told you I had about 40 or so witnesses that I was going through and trying to see out. I just want to show you guys this. He was on my list. This kid is on my list. This kid right here is already under Bullhorn Betty's watch right now. And just to prove to you guys that, because this is YouTube, you got to show receipts, right? Just to prove to you guys, when this report was pulled, it was pulled August 8th, 2022, before this gentleman, before people were looking into this gentleman. So he is on my list of people that I am looking into. So, I mean, Bullhorn Betty's not too far from, you know, all this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and pull you up, Clayton. Hey, Clayton.
Hey, Betty, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. What do you think about this? I mean, you know, everybody, and I have to agree, on the surface, everything truly does look like it all leads back to Sami. I mean, if you put all this stuff together, you know, the part she's the one that set up this party. She's the one that was out there. She's the first one that came out and said that she was the last person that saw Kiely. She was drinking with Kiely. They used the bathroom. You know, she left Kiely because Kiely was a little too intoxicated. She was the one that came right out and started, you know, getting all these search parties together, being controlled of all the teens at the party, getting them together. Just had a lot of control of a very serious investigation up front. You know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I had red flags from the beginning for her. Probably the biggest tell to me was the interview she did with Tony Dodge. That was just looking at body language and the clues that she was just dropping everywhere. She definitely knew more than she was letting on. That's there's no doubt. She kept slipping up. She would say something and then backtrack because she knew she was caught in something, and she would say, "Oh no, that's not what I meant," this and that, and she was stumbling over a word. She couldn't, you know. So yeah, that to me 100% was a big tell to me. And you know, last night I kind of had to take a step back from this case to kind of look at everything that we know so far. And you know, if they come out and try to say, did you see the PI released a statement saying
that, you know, I didn't see the statement, I'll be honest with you, but I did hear about it because like I said, I just happened to be up and catch Dolly, and he was doing a live this morning, and popped in there just to chat with him about this case a little bit because I haven't had an opportunity to speak to him. And yeah, he's the one that read that, and it's like, wait a minute, you know, this private investigator's been the one that's been pushing this case as a, you know, something that appears to be out of place, something that had a foul means associated with it. This private eye has been the one, you know, narrating that narrative.
Well, I've heard that he's got some kind of connection to Sami's mother, the attorney.
And it's possible if he's from that area.
So,
this area is a small, like people don't realize it's a small knit community. There's not a whole lot of people here.
Yeah, I mean, I know attorneys work with PIs all the time. That's one of their biggest ways to get information on cases that they can't necessarily get through other means. So that's a good chance, and he may, you know, at this point be trying to cover something up for her because it's her daughter. I don't know.
Something's just really odd. But my question is how can, you know, we had the FBI involved in this case. How in the world is an 18-year-old kid, I'm going to call her a kid. I know she's an adult in the legal sense, but an 18-year-old kid running an investigation with the teens? Like, how did they think that this was okay? I mean, I would have done the same thing had it been one of my friends. I have to be honest. If it was Olivia, if it was JLR, if it was, you know, I would do the same thing. I would want all that information funneled to me because I want to see what the heck's in it. But, you know, it's kind of, you know, this is kind of, I don't get, you know, I'm 43 years old. I have a true crime channel. I'm not an 18-year-old kid that was at a party where somebody disappeared from running the investigation. I don't know how they thought this was okay.
Yeah.
It's my
yeah, I had I forget which panel I was on, but we were talking about that. And kind of my thought on that was that at the time before they put all the pieces together, they may have assumed that she may be able to get more information out of the kids than they could, and so they may have allowed her to do that just to try to filter some up through her because she may get more information out of it. And then now you see she's went completely ghost.
Yeah.
So that to me might tell me that they may have kind of started putting their eyes on her a little bit more, and then she kind of got freaked out and got away.
But here's the thing: is I found out from a reliable source, very reliable source, one that I highly respect, that she has not only lawyered up, but she's actually been interrogated associated with this incident where Kiely.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of people have been interrogated when it comes to this. Yeah, I'm sure that's been going on for a while, and to be honest with you, that's not a fun place to be.
Mm-hmm.
In a room, sitting in a police department or a sheriff's office, being questioned.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree. And
that's not a fun place to be.
I've said it many times on this channel before, especially with Brian Laundrie, his parents and stuff. I told them, I said, you guys, they should be doing these interviews at the police station in their house. Not, why are they interrogating these parents in their own house where they feel comfortable? Like that to me is like it's all about pressure. It's all about the intimidation factor. It's all about getting them out of their comfort zone, because that is what makes them make mistakes. And when you're interrogating these people in their own area and in their own environment, I just feel like it can be effective. But if somebody's hiding something, they're more likely to be comfortable in their own environment.
Yeah, you know, like I was saying last night, I had once I saw the statement that the PI released, I wanted to kind of take a step back for myself and look at everything that we found out so far. And there's just no way that all this adds up. I mean, there's way too many things that point towards.
There is one way.
There is, but if they do that, I mean, it's out for the world to see at this point. You know what I mean? I don't understand how they'll get away with that.
Well, there is one way, and it is that it is truly an accident. It's just that Kiely wasn't driving. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's got to be held accountable for her death, even if it was a really bad accident where somebody else drove that car in the water. I do not believe in my heart that there is any way Kiely Rodni was capable of driving that vehicle and capable of winding up in the back of her vehicle. But if there truly was a strap around here that held her in, and the passenger window was truly, in fact, busted either in or out, that is the only way, because I just don't think when I first heard that the window was busted out on one side and the other one was halfway down on the other side, I thought right then and there was at least 2 to 3 children or 3 other people in that vehicle that had to escape when it got out. That very well may be the case, but that would be the only way that this would have been an accident. It's because somebody else got a hold of the keys and was driving that car and was completely drunk, and it was dark and they had to go around. They weren't paying attention, and they ended up getting out of the car, and Kiely ended up not. That is the only accident scenario that I can see. And if that's the case, still somebody needs to be held accountable, because they were driving most likely under the influence of alcohol, which could directly contribute to the death of another kid.
Yeah. At this point, it's hard for me to even try to say that that's a possibility in my head.
Right. It's a stretch for me, but I mean, that's the only way that I see.
You know, if what the tow truck driver has told us is true, I believe that she was already in the back of that car whenever he had his encounter. And, you know, I think that there may have been a plan to put her in Boca. And then whenever they had whatever incident they had and they couldn't get the car started or couldn't figure this out, they called him, and then they realized, oh, well, this will be the last location they saw the car, so now we got to move somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And then they probably just thought, hey, if we put it right under their nose, this will probably be the one place they might miss it. You know?
Look. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, just putting it right there, it's too easy.
Clayton, Alicia, if you want to show your face, okay, you can go ahead and turn your camera off. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you up. So keeping her back there waiting. Hi, Alicia.
Hey. So I have a little bit of a different thought process.
Okay.
So to me, Kiely did not end up in that vehicle by herself. That does not make any sense. But what kind of irks me is not just Sami. Where's Kate and Megs? Where are they? Where have they been? Why haven't they been talking? Why haven't they taken control? They were her actual friends.
That's a good point. And I said,
where are they?
I said, I thought, I think it's odd when we find out that here Mags is standing right next to Sami, and Sammy's saying she's the close friend. Nobody's identifying even her best friend Mags as being her best friend. Everybody at the beginning thought Sami was her best friend. How did that make Mags feel? And why did Mags come out and say, well, in reality, I'm her best friend. I was with her. I showed up at the party with her. It wasn't like that. She just stood right next to Sami and let her be tagged as her best friend.
Exactly. My friend last summer went missing. She just vanished overnight in the middle of the woods, and I freaked out, and I was going to drive, because I'm in northern Alberta. I almost drove to the Okanagan to go and find her. Like, she's one of my best friends. Like, if that were to happen to me, I would be front and center, just like you, right? Like, it doesn't make sense for them to have their best friend missing, have one appearance, and disappear. Keeping that in mind, though, what are other motives other than being guilty? Would Sami do what she did? Covering her own ass. Sorry for swearing. But you think about it. She's 18. She's the one who started the party. She's the one who probably organized all the alcohol, knew there was drugs involved. And her parents are PIs, lawyers, whatever. Mm-hmm. She's probably covering her own ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think that she was doing this from the beginning. And I think we were just, so naive that we were thinking, we need to find out who was responsible. We're thinking these are her friends. It wasn't really until that the All-American Dream Chaser had her on. And when people heard her for the first time, they were like, no, we ain't buying this.
I didn't buy it from day one.
Your statement ain't making sense.
Yeah.
All over the place.
I didn't buy her from day one. And she gives me that, like, Sami gives me that mean girl vibe. And then one of the people that grew up with her came out and put a thing on Facebook. And that totally confirmed it with me. Like, if that post was true, that makes sense to me. Like, Sami is not, like, she gives me like kind of sociopath vibes, I don't want to put a label to it, but
yeah,
she gives me those very weird vibes. But I want to know where in the heck Megs and Kate are and why they haven't been involved. And the other thing that kind of bothers me a little bit that no one else has brought this up. There was a case where 2 girls murdered their best friend because they didn't want to be friends with her. Then there was another case where 2 girls killed their best friend in the middle of the woods because Slender Man told them to. There's numerous cases like this. It could have very well been Megs and Kate, and that could have been why they didn't take front and center stage. Take the heat off them, let Sami do what she's doing, covering her butt. But I've never heard that from anybody.
Right.
And it very well could have been, and I've been saying this ever since I heard the story about tow truck guy, it could have been Kate and Steve in that vehicle.
So somebody's saying that this has on the passenger side, it has some kind of pull strap on the back caravan or the back hatch of the vehicle. I don't know, how, I don't know if this is from the actual vehicle, but somebody did just send me this photo. So I thought I'd let you guys see it because it is just another perspective,
Yeah, like it really bothers me, like, how quiet those 2 are.
Yeah.
Because
and just playing devil's advocate with that for just a second. If I'm trying to put myself in a situation where, I'm at a party, my good friend or my best friend goes missing, and there's questions about it, as far as what happened. I don't know how out in the open I would be as far as being front and center and wanting to be seen around everything. I think I would be more behind the scenes trying to work things, trying to figure things out that way. Because I just think to me it would be harder for me to cope with what was going on with all the attention. I think that, and that's just me playing devil's advocate. I'm not trying to say that what I think is right. I'm just saying that me putting myself in that situation, I think that I would be more behind the scenes working with law enforcement, giving them anything that I could give them and helping them out any way I could, rather than being front and center like Sami was. I think Sami played it the exact wrong way, and Mags and Kate have played it the exact right way. That's the way that I see it.
Yeah.
See, and the thing about that is, didn't Mags only go to the party for 10 minutes and then leave? And Kate wasn't even there, supposedly.
That's what Max claimed, was that she was only there for a few minutes because she felt uncomfortable and her boyfriend was there and they decided to just leave together.
Actually, I heard something on the lines, but just a slightly different, that she was never planning on staying there. She was just riding with just to get a ride. She was meeting her boyfriend there and they were leaving. I heard that that was the story. But again, who did we hear that from? We heard that from the kids. So who really knows? And I always ask, well, maybe Max and her boyfriend did leave. Maybe they did leave and go do what they were going to do, that teenage kids do, and came back to the party. I mean, nobody's talked about whether they've come back to the party or not. It's just, it's another perspective that I'd like to explore.
Well, the biggest tell to me was with Sami and her interview with All American Dream Chaser. Her saying how uncomfortable she felt at that party and how she had this eerie feeling that something wasn't right, but then she decided to not leave when she had the chance to stick around. That to me just doesn't add up. I mean, as a female, you're out there. It's not like she had a boyfriend or somebody there with her to help her if something went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of there by herself, just finding a way home. And she feels uncomfortable. All these people are there that she doesn't know. This party got a lot bigger than what she was expecting. And then she has a chance to leave, and she says, "No, I'm going to stay a little bit longer." Yeah. But I feel so uncomfortable. That just doesn't make sense.
We brought that up on the show just a few days ago. Like, it was so scary. I have to stay longer. Like,
Yeah,
that's weird. The thing is, if Megs felt so uncomfortable and left, why would you leave your best friend there alone?
Or at least
especially
back on her a little bit later, or nothing. You ride with her and leave her, and that's it.
Especially because I used to party a lot until I had kids, right? Mm-hmm. And even in that kind of situation, I would never, even if I was super uncomfortable, I wouldn't leave my best friend, especially my best friend, at a party by themselves with people that they don't know. Like, Sami and her, hung out 3 times at parties? Sami and Kiely?
It sounded like they were on the same party circle together. It sounds like, guys, I hate to say this, and you guys are going to end up finding out, sooner or later, but, and this is probably going to make some people upset, but, I can't mask the truth. The truth will eventually come out, but it did sound like Kiely was not a stranger to partying. Okay. So, yes, she was a very smart, talented young woman that lost her life entirely too soon. She was, I shouldn't say a young woman, a young lady that lost her life entirely too soon. But what we're going to end up finding out is that she's no stranger to partying. She's no stranger to using illicit stuff. She's not a stranger to drinking. This was becoming a little more common than I think people would like to acknowledge. And that's, I think, what we're going to end up finding out.
And that's the thing that does not shock me. I smoked my first cigarette when I was 9. I started drinking by the time I was 12. That part doesn't shock me. And the other thing that kind of bothers me is the mom. Certain things she said rubs me the wrong way. Because I've been going back and rewatching all the interviews, just like we did with Summer Wells, right?
Right.
And the very first time she was on the TV, she says, "I'm sorry, Kiely." Sorry for what? like letting her go to the party. Like there's so many aspects of this that are really strange.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
also I heard through the grapevine, I can't confirm this at all, but I mean, if we're talking about some rumors and rumor mills and some feelings and stuff, I heard word that her parents actually showed up at, I don't know, again, I don't know if this is true or not. This is just through the rumor mills on YouTube. You've got to fact find yourself. But I heard that her parents actually showed up there at some point in the night, like right after she got there or something. Now, I don't know if that's somebody else's parents, that somebody may have gotten them confused, but I heard that her parents, her mom, actually swung by there to check it.
Well, and one thing that I haven't really grasped the hold of and understood was, this girl's only 16. She's hanging out with 18, 19-year-olds. And, I mean, I'm sorry, but if I'm that parent, I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions there as far as why are these 18, 19-year-olds wanting to hang out with my 16-year-old daughter? I mean, I understand that, she's graduating early and all this, but it's not like they're all in the same grade and they're all, grew up together. I mean, we're talking 2 and 3 years apart here. I mean, I know that, in high school, you're talking about a sophomore compared to a senior.
Actually, she was a senior. That's the problem here is that.
Yeah, no. I understand that, but I'm saying as far as.
Senior at 16, she was hanging out with the senior class, which was, a couple years older than her.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I'm saying just as far as age goes, the age bracket would be, a 16-year-old would be like a sophomore, and then 18, 19-year-old would be seniors or already graduated.
Right.
So
see,
that to me
part
is a little
bothers
odd.
me.
Yeah.
And that part bothers me because my kids have quite a bit of freedom compared to what I had, right, as a kid. And but there'd be no way in hell I'd let my girls hang out with hundreds of people that are 2-3 years older than them, especially with alcohol and drugs involved. Like it'd be different if it's a smaller party with just a couple friends. Like, but even then it would be very hard for me to agree to let them do that kind of stuff. But that's the thing is, did Kiely have all this freedom for a long time?
It sounded like, from all intents and purposes, it sounded like her parents were just chill. That they lived out in the, it's a lot different for those people that are in this chat that live in like cities and things like that. It's a different lifestyle being in a smaller town, in a smaller community than it is in a bustling, hustling community. I had the benefit of both. I always called myself a citified redneck because I live here in Florida. My roots are Mayaca City, but we lived in town. So even though I had the country life and I was able to drive a car at 6 years old, and I was shooting guns at 5 years old, that was country lifestyle, but we wouldn't do that stuff here in town.
Yeah.
So it was just a different lifestyle. So yeah, I think she had a lot more privileges than say a kid that lives in a big city.
Yeah. I don't live in a big city. So, and that's the thing too, like, I'm not like that. The country lifestyle is not foreign to me, but even as a country or a rural parent, like it's like, where does the line get drawn? Right. Like that's the other thing too. Like, and I'm not trying to dig at this mom. Like, I know it's grieving.
So hard. We're wanting to explore the whole case, and it's like, to eliminate the parents, that had contact with her would be irresponsible of anybody that, like for me, an investigate, I'm an amateur investigative journalist, I say I'm an amateur investigative journalist because I don't have any credentialing other than my press badge that I acquired myself. You see what I'm saying? I didn't go, but we do investigate these cases, but you can't eliminate, like even with Michael Monkey Vaughn, people were like wanting to come after me with pitchforks for even looking at the parents. And it's like, I'm doing a disservice if I don't look at them. It goes to credibility, it goes to integrity. And it's hard because we have a mom that's suffering here. And we have to look at her, and we're going to dive into her. And the only reason why I haven't really done that yet is because I'm trying to be responsible and just giving them just a little breathing room before YouTube does what YouTube does.
Yeah. Because like I've lost a child, and I understand the grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
So that part kind of bothers me, like when certain things make me uncomfortable with her. It does kind of bother me that I like saying anything about it, because I can see the grief.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there are a couple things that are weird with her. So I feel bad mentioning it, but I mean, my biggest red flags are Meg and Kate.
Yeah.
Those are my biggest ones. And then whoever this Steve guy is, I've been following that name around, and at different Steves, because there's a few of them.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the Steve that everybody's asking about, though. People don't realize it's actually Ross. His first name's Steve. And Ross, for people that don't know, is Mag's boyfriend.
Oh, see, because
I'm sure there's
the thing. I didn't know that.
Like the Nates, I'm sure there's 15 Steves and a couple Rosses in the mix. So
I didn't know that Ross guy, his first name is Steve, because that would totally make sense, because Sami could not be pulled off as Kiely, like at the vehicle with the road assistance guy. I'm sorry, Sami does not look enough like Kiely. Mm-hmm. I do not think that was Sami at all. Kate, very much so, could pull off looking like Kiely. She's the one that looks the most like Kiely.
Yeah, but I have a thing on that one too. She only looks like Kiely from certain angles. When you're looking straight at her face, she, to me, looks nothing like her.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's a thing too, is if there's a Steve that's Meg's boyfriend, mm-hmm. It brings that kind of full circle for me.
Right.
Like, because I get such a weird, like, there is a love triangle thing going on with like Sami and Jagger and Kiely and all of these other people, but it to me, it looks more and reminds me more of these other cases where two friends murder one of their best friends or whatever, for whatever reason. It's starting to look like that for me, because there's so many of these.
Yeah, but
cases happening.
I guess my question is we think naturally, because we're from the true crime community, we naturally think, my first thing is, who was the last person that saw somebody alive, and who was the last person that, that was around them? Who were those last people? We always look at those people first, because we know that, the higher percentage of anything like this is by somebody that and by somebody that last saw you. So naturally we go there. But what if this was just a case of horrible friends, and we're so laser focused on the friends that we're not looking at anybody else out of these 400 kids?
Exactly. Like, that's the other thing too, is everyone's so hyper focused on Sami and Jagger. They're not pulling up Meg and Kate, like being so quiet, and all of these other kids that were at the party too. Like, it could have been anybody.
I just pulled up, just from this little group of kids, I've already pulled up 2 that are in jail right now for felonies.
That's crazy.
With young girls, underage girls.
Yeah, see, this gets bigger and bigger the more that we keep digging into it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I honestly believe that the one guy that's in jail for the dealing the drugs with the overdose,
yeah,
I think he's involved somehow.
I do too, because it would make sense, because you know he would, there's no way, if he was getting arrested 4 days after she disappeared, there's no way he wasn't already spoken to or interrogated related to her death already prior to them arresting him.
Yeah.
So he had to have known that he was under investigation, for one, and to have a second one, he would have probably been freaking out and saying, if I have another one show up on me, I'm done. I'm toast. I need help.
Yep. And that's another theory I did hear is it possible that Sami was like, oh, I'm going to, liven her up and, put a little bit of whatever in her drink, and then accidentally OD her, and the snake guy was at the party giving out the drugs and finds out that she OD'd, freaks out, they ditch the car. And that's the thing that's also kind of weird is how many people have been in trouble.
Yeah, let me ask the chat something real quick. With a number, I'm going to do it a little backwards. For if you guys believe Kiely ingested other substances other than marijuana and alcohol at the party, put 1. If you think somebody spiked her drink, or Sami or anybody introduced something into her drink, drugged her, put a 2 in the chat.
See, that's kind of where my hang-up is I don't know if this was an accidental death that they tried to hide and cover up because they freaked out about it, or if this was an intentional thing.
Like they did something just as a joke, and it backfired on them and cost somebody their life. I mean, that has happened. People have, because you don't know what somebody's medical condition is. And if you, act like, for example, when I was younger, they did something really awful. I wasn't a part of it. I would never be a part of it. But they spiked this one dude's drink, but they spiked it with acid. So
oh my goodness,
tripping, but he had a bad trip because he didn't know he was tripping.
That's horrible.
It is absolutely horrible. It's disgusting. But it was actually intended as a prank from these people. Now, stupid prank, but this is the kind of crap that you deal with these young punks. Stupid pranks that they think won't injure anybody, that ends up, like this guy was okay. He just had a really bad night. In a situation like this, I mean, you're talking about.
This day and age with the way the fentanyl is going around, you don't ever know what you can be giving somebody.
Yeah.
That's the scary part about it, and I believe that's what this guy's charge is that he's charged with now was of fentanyl related. So
that 15-year-old died from a fentanyl overdose.
So
somebody's saying something in here, and they said Bob Ross sticker on laptop. Joke about Ross name ? Is it Ross's laptop? I don't think it's. If you're talking about the one that washed up, I think that I'm safe to say that, at least for me, I know some people are questioning whether or not that's Kiely's computer. I believe it was just based on other things. Her car was there. Her car was flipped up. We know that law enforcement made a horrible mistake when they were extracting that car out of the water. A lot of stuff was lost at the bottom of the place. The laptop was there. The laptop had stickers that were in line with stickers that were on her computer. I mean, if this is not her computer, somebody did a damn good job.
Yeah. I mean, and I know whenever the little memorial was built there, and they had I believe it was a log or a rock that had the MILF on it.
Yeah.
And then she had that same sticker on the laptop. So, I've always thought that I knew what MILF stood for, but evidently it's not.
My friend and I were actually discussing that very same thing, and it's like, but we weren't from the era of text messaging and having to use keywords and stuff like that. They make, like, for example, I was on Marissa's panel. I'm still blocked. She's trying to unblock me, but there's something going on with the system. But anyways, I put it was like way to go, or good. Oh, good for you. Good for you. And I did the one that said GFU, and she thought it meant I said go F yourself. I'm like, no, I go good for you. And so she thought it was a troll. But I guess there's a new thing that's going on with YouTube. When you block somebody, I don't know if it has to do with just StreamYard, but when you block somebody, you can't just go in there and unblock them anymore. You actually have to go in there, find their URL, and add them to the approved person list. Otherwise, when you unblock them, as soon as you exit out, it reverts back to block. I've never seen it's crazy. It just happened like within the last 3 months.
But Andrew, I'm gonna get going. I got work to do, but I'm gonna keep listening. Love you and keep up the good work.
Thank you, love. Thank you. Appreciate all your time and support, and thanks for coming up here and enjoying your morning with us.
Thank you. You too.
You too. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good possibility that it could be Ross's laptop. I honestly just, I don't know. Ashley, I really don't. It could be, it could not be, who knows? But it looks like out of the thing, whether she did this to herself or she did somebody else, I have to say, it looks like it's about even on whether you guys believe that she introduced this to her. Maybe we got a little more. Yeah, it looks just about even. So you guys are like really on the fence as to whether she either she introduced drugs into her system or somebody else did. Maybe it's a combination of both. And I don't want to spoil anything, but many of you guys know, if you don't, I'm doing a live tonight at 6. And we've got some breaking information. Olivia's worked very hard. She's going to be releasing a video tonight, and we're going to just touch a little bit on it. We're not going to give away the video. We obviously want people to go watch the video once she releases it. But we are going to be talking about one of the party goers that were at that party and actually was seen and hung out or spoke to past whatever, Kiely. So she did see Kiely at this party. So, and obviously we got to keep her confidential and stuff like that, but we have some breaking stuff coming out at 6.
Yeah, so that's some good work there to be able to, to get some of that stuff up, because, I've been saying from the start, anything that we dig up and we find, you can bet that the investigators have tons more,
Yeah.
And I hope that that's the truth. I hope that they've got, it really hit me the wrong way when I saw the PI come out with his statement last night.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't trust him anymore because of some of the stuff he put in that statement. He said, I've seen the evidence myself. So you're telling me, like, I deal with PIs all the time. I even communicate with Jason Jensen. He was the one that was he was the pro bono PI out in Moab, Utah for Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner's case. And I have, he hands off information to law enforcement, but he's a legit licensed PI that has an office building, just a nice guy. And he's not getting this cooperation from law enforcement. How does this guy over at the SF Investigate get into the FBI and get into law enforcement to review the evidence in this case to establish on his own that this is an accident and this girl just flew from the front seat of her driver's seat all the way to the rear of her car and it's an accident?
Yeah, well, the hardest thing for me to try to put together for it being an accident would be if she was actually strapped into that vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you explain that?
Yeah. But with that thing, because you know what, I did look at a video or a picture that appeared to be cleared up. And last night I was laying in bed, and because I review what I do on the day, the day that, like, I'll be reviewing this live tonight when I'm relaxing, just to see, did I forget something? Could I have done better? Could I have explained this a little bit better? And it helps drive my next day. And one of those things is, that picture I saw where I clearly said, the seatbelt's over there. I have to realize people trust that what I say. And, I did have to take into consideration, which I did not bring up yesterday, is that photo that I saw could very well have been Photoshopped. We have that going around. So what I could have said could have been inaccurate. I mean, it was accurate based upon what I saw, but I never put the disclaimer in there that very well could, because I didn't enhance that photo. Somebody else did. And I don't know who that somebody else is. Do I trust that person? I don't know them to trust them.
Yeah.
So I want to put that disclaimer. I did see something that clearly shows almost a black strap across her. However, that could have been Photoshopped.
Have you seen any of the photos? I know that there's some out there as far as where they've enhanced and taken away the blur from the AWP video.
That's what I was talking about.
I did see what she's wearing or anything.
I did see that, and it didn't appear again. It's hard because really what you see is her face takes up the majority of the window space. So you've only got just a little area of anything else. So based upon the videos, you can't really see her shoes. So if anybody's passing out, they can see her shoes in that thing. I couldn't see her shoes. I couldn't see pants. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see her legs. I couldn't see, I could see, this is what I could see. Like this is it. That's what I could see. And, it did look like there was something, a different color going across her. Now, mind you, this photo is not like a clear photo like you're looking at me right now.
Yeah.
This is a very grainy photo that had to be enhanced pixel by pixel. So it's still a grainy photo and you're still trying to make stuff out. And when you have grainy photos, that is the best photo that you can doctor because it's not crystal clear.
Yeah.
And that's where my concern comes from. Was that photo doctored? Is what is being passed around behind the scenes to the creators? Is that legit or is that doctored? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, this day and age, trying to dig into this true crime stuff, that's one of the hardest things is to decipher how many of these pictures or videos have been altered to make it look a certain way and this and that. In this day and age, that's huge.
I'm telling you, like, I have to be honest with you. Like, I have, until I came to YouTube, I have never heard of this stuff before. Like, who would waste their time doctoring photos to pass around bunk narratives? And it's just people that think it's funny and want to see their work being passed around so they can. But I don't find that comical. Like I don't get people's humor, but I don't have any humor. So
yeah, and something else that I kind of want to, maybe I'm from law enforcement that I can say with 100% accuracy is I know a lot of people are putting a lot of stock into these kids keeping quiet and certain people not coming forward with different information. And when you're dealing with something like this, I know that it doesn't seem that way it doesn't seem like the best idea if you're trying to figure out what happened, but it's very easy to get caught up in investigations like this and to say something wrong and to say something and then contradict yourself. And next thing you know, you're the prime suspect.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the fifth in this country, and a lot of people plead the fifth because it's the best thing you can do in a situation like this. I know that it's not what people want to hear, and it's not what people think is the best route to take. But when you start thinking about, hey, I didn't have anything to do with it. I don't want to put myself in it. I don't want to get involved. A lot of people are probably thinking that way.
How did Sami know to do all this? I mean, think about it. I mean, coordinating you're talking about stuff that, I myself struggle with, whenever I'm going out for search parties and trying to advocate getting people there. I mean, how does an 18-year-old know how to do all this stuff if a friend disappears?
Well, I mean, if her mother's a lawyer, I'm sure she's got some pretty good insight into how to pull strings and how to make things work,
Good point.
I mean, an attorney, especially a criminal attorney, they know the ins and outs of the judicial system better than a lot of the prosecutors and law enforcement officers do. They know the good, the bad, and the ugly. They know how to find holes here and find holes there. So I'm sure that if it's true that her mom's an attorney and it's true that she's a criminal defense attorney, then
I don't think she's a criminal defense attorney. It didn't look like that's her specialty. I'm going to go ahead and bring Zoe on up. Hey, Zoe. Before you say anything, I'm just going to read this. Lindsay M says, haven't heard this mentioned. I don't think Sami is innocent, but as far as lawyering up, her parents are lawyers, right? I'm sure they advised it. Yeah, her parents are lawyers, and I think that's why she got an attorney right away. But there's a couple nuances to that. One is the teen-to-teen meeting. We heard there was adults there, and there may have potentially or reportedly been adults there telling people to keep their mouths shut. And it always made me wonder, was that her parents? Secondly, I guess I have 3 points. Secondly, she's the only person so far that I've heard from that party come out and publicly state that she's got a criminal defense attorney. And thirdly, I think that her parents were smart in letting her come out and tell her story to the world because she told us things for her defense. For example, and I said this on this channel, I think 3 days in a row, This is a girl that has stated that Kiely was supposed to give her a ride home, but for every other purpose of this case, she never rode with Kiely, and she was never planning on leaving with Kiely. According to Sami, it wasn't until they got to the party and her ride was leaving that she had asked Kiely for a ride. So none of Kiely's friends or family knew Sami was going to be getting a ride home with her, but yet she explained how her DNA and her fingerprints can be inside that entire car. And she's the one doing these teen-to-teen interviews and searches and collecting of evidence, collecting of photos, collecting of videos, being the conduit from these teens to the law enforcement. She just really had way too much responsibility up front, especially being the only one that was in that group that stated that she was at the party with Kiely. I just thought that was odd.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, but it's true. There's a lot of people in this country that are falsely accused of crimes all the time. And I can say from first-hand experience dealing with stuff like that, the best way to deal with it is to keep your mouth shut, get a lawyer, let them speak for you. So, to me, Sami did the exact opposite of that from the beginning. And that, to me, made her stand out like a sore thumb to me. Mm-hmm. She from the jump was, her face was out there everywhere. She was conducting these team-to-team meetings, and she was trying to filter everything through herself. And that, to me, it's string red flag.
Yeah. And people are picking up on that right away. Bullhorn Betty was giving them passes. So let me ask the chat. The chat on the show once, are you glad Bullhorn Betty moved from team accident to team foul play? I'm just curious what people think.
But that was the point I was making yesterday. That there's still people out there that believe that this was an accident, and that's a healthy conversation, a healthy dialogue to have.
Yeah, hold on, Clayton. Let me get to Zoe. Zoe, how are you
doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the tiniest possibility that it could be an accident, but I think taking a step back and looking a bird's eye view of this, if this was in New York City or Los Angeles or a bigger city, there would definitely be a different kind of investigation. I was watching Judy Ron, and they had that medical examiner on, Barbara Bester, I think, or something was her name. And she was saying that there's just a lot of problems with how they're dealing with this, that they're not, pulling the car out, turning it over and then pulling it out, doing things that are, that it's going to end up being possibly inconclusive at the end of this, because
Yes. It's just clear. It's just it's evidence. You don't know what the hell happened to this child. You collect everything and then you decide what you can use and what you can't.
Exactly. Even AWP knows how that should have been treated as an entire. It should have been sealed off. It should have been kept as it was found. It should have brought to a laboratory. Maybe that's happening, but it doesn't seem like they're treating it with the fragility that evidence should be, treated as, like Judy Ron was saying, and Edward, the both the retired New York.
It's bad when you got law enforcement coming out and saying, that's, I perk my ears up with people like Judy Ron and Chris McDonough. People have their opinions about these guys, but I think they're great guys. They're on a different. They do true crime a lot different than Bullhorn Betty, and that's fine. They have a different perspective than I do. Yeah. But I like their work. I like how thorough they are, and they are able to bring a real clear law enforcement presence and procedure, stuff to us, information to us. And when you start hearing that, and Judy Ron, he seems like a real good guy. He's proud to be law enforcement. He's proud to be associated with law enforcement. And it's got to be, it's got to be hard for him to, be looking at this and saying, come on, guys, what are you thinking? I mean, I'm sure that man's ready to pull his hair out because he's following these things. Any law enforcement wants to have a conclusion to any matter. And it's just sad, especially when your law enforcement counterparts around the country are saying what the hell were you guys thinking?
Yes. And another thing is it's the sheriff has 3 different duties. She's the coroner, and she's also the public spokesperson. So because of that, they were saying that it's like almost she's wearing so many different shoes. Do you know what I mean? She's yeah, and because and so maybe, and they were saying that the family should get like a private autopsy done, because you could choose, like the coroner could choose which pathologist, like a forensic pathologist or a hospital pathologist, and because of that, that depends on which direction it could go, this case. So I think that's a lot of this evidence isn't being treated like it should, and that's because maybe it's a small town, maybe because it's compromised, maybe because, like you said, like Sammy's parents or some parents or from this party were law enforcement kids, and maybe that's why this has been stretched to, you know, I think Sami is acting such like parents of attorneys, right? She's like, just from that I saw that interview. I kind of joined it late, this whole thing, so I only got like bits and pieces. So I got like that interview of her first with that Tony guy, and there was just a lot of red flags that just came up, not even knowing just how she was answering things, like answering what they wanted her to answer, almost like what they want to hear from me to maybe not make me look guilty, or I don't know. I mean, she's acting like attorneys, a kid of an attorney, of attorneys, you know. Yeah, it's interesting. But I think this coroner and sheriff being the same, it's like Barbara was saying, like it's almost like separating church from state, you know, like you don't like want them because it compromises the investigation. And it seems like this is already compromised. Like if there's a guy out there on YouTube getting like crucial material, you know, evidence from, like, you know, it just seems like there's a lot of, you know, hands, which is great. I think that's how this is going to maybe be solved, by all these YouTubers and the crowdsourcing that's going on with social media.
Not those damn YouTubers. Those YouTubers, they stick their nose where they don't belong. Leave it to law enforcement. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, it's well, I think there has to be some kind of cover up going on, or a cover up to show that they're not as competent.
If they are truly this incompetent, I feel bad for
right. But I think it's not that they're incompetent so much as that they don't have like the man hours, they don't have the training that AWP has, for example, right? Like they know this, and so like say they can go around to every, you know, police department. Maybe they get to LA and New York first, you know, and these little towns that need it more because they have water and they would need that kind of training. Maybe they don't get it right away, or don't get it ever, right? Don't ever get training that they need to solve these kind of cases. So everything gets botched because they don't know to put a netting over it. I wouldn't know to seal the car. You know, like we don't think of these things not to turn it over, but when you think about it, yeah, like that's why there's stuff on the bottom.
To be honest with you, you know, watching Adventures with Purpose prior to this, yeah, I see where, you know, they explain, you know, in prior videos. If you guys haven't watched Adventures with Purpose, not just this case, go back there and watch other cases. They teach you about how to use the sonar equipment. They teach you how they search for areas. Like if you just went and watched them, you could get yourself a lot of education. And even if you weren't out there hunting for, say, you know, cars with people, maybe you're hunting for trash in these things. Like that's how Adventures with Purpose first started out. They were trying to clean these waterways and get all the metal and gunk out of them, and they happened to come across a car with a person in it, and it was a cold case of a person that just vanished in the middle of the night or something like that, and nobody saw him again. And then they changed their purpose from cleaning these waterways to now going out and finding these unsolved cases, these cold cases of missing people with their vehicles. And they've been wildly successful. I think.
Yeah. And look at this, how successful they were. And I think probably law enforcement doesn't like how successful they were, but they knew exactly what anomalies to look for in the radar that they were doing, where I don't think, yeah, they knew what to look for. And I think there's a learning curve. So I don't think like, you can't really like say, oh, they're incompetent. They just never went through that learning curve. If they only have one of these cases, say like a year every 2 years, how could they get the same kind of training that AWP gets? They knew, what they were looking for. And yeah,
But
so
you
I
know
think
what?
there's still,
Did we give
yeah.
them a pass? Did we give law enforcement a free pass? Did we? Because here's what, we're saying that we're giving them this pass of saying, well, they don't. That's what I did. I did it myself. So I'm not blaming anybody but myself. But that they should have seen it, but they don't use the equipment. But we have to remember, the FBI was on scene. Well, you cannot tell me that the FBI did not know what they were looking at. But it doesn't seem like it was the FBI. It seemed like it was this search and rescue squad, because they had the red jackets on that was running the actual water search. And I'm curious as to what kind of education and experience and training and skill set those folks have, because it's like if you're in the search and rescue and you're trained search and rescue, you should be well knowledgeable on all this equipment and how it works. Like when Doug was explaining it, the first time I saw the sonar, okay, I admit the very first time I saw this thing, I didn't know what I was looking at. I will be honest with you, I had no clue what I was looking at. But I rewound and fast forward and rewound and fast forward. I started seeing the tire that he was seeing. I started seeing, I started realizing that the smooth bottom and that the line between it is, where the actual scope is in the water, and that black line, but it does the view of 50 feet on either side. They really do explain all that to you. But once you start seeing that, and then they go back and then you watch it again, it's like, there it is. You see it immediately. And I see how it was so obvious for them. And it makes me wonder, why didn't law enforcement had to have seen it on their sonar, and they had to determine that it must not be anything. It must just be a big rock. They had to have, instead of sending somebody down there to look at it, they just assumed that it must be something else.
It was also much deeper, because Doug and Nick were both saying that the water was receding, and I didn't know that it eventually goes to dry. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
that the water
they were saying it's drying out right now, but even then, even if but you're talking about sonar, it really doesn't matter. Unless you're over 100 feet, it really doesn't matter. You shouldn't have to adjust your settings too much.
Right? I know. Yeah, they just didn't know what to look.
Feet of water.
The learning curve, like you said, you had to go back and look at it and get it pointed out to you,
Yeah, but I'm a layman. This is you're talking about search and rescue squad.
Right, I know, but FBI is government, and think about how underfunded certain government agencies are. So maybe they don't have that same level of equipment as because they have the state of the art, and maybe this even FBI. And I think we're putting too much weight in the FBI having all the answers, because they always have answers in TV shows, and not always in real life.
It's finally nice to hear the audience say the stuff I should stop saying the stuff I've been saying this whole time. But people are starting to get it now. Law enforcement is not perfect. They're not superhuman.
They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I mean, AWP, they perfected what they do. You know what I mean? So it's amazing. Hopefully, they could be involved in more. I mean, they are involved in more, even not just cold cases, but helping solve cases, but too bad that they didn't let them take the stuff out of the water the way they would have, they just pushed them away as soon as they got there. They made them leave the perimeter.
Oh, but see, I've dealt with law enforcement in these types of cases. That's
what they do.
It really is. It's what they do.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
They don't care who you are. They don't care if you're even YouTubers. They want you to clear the area, because forensically they need you out of there. They need you to get a job, and here they are botching this forensically.
And then forensically they botch it right in front of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And they it's really crazy. But it's just.
And what they should have at least given Adventures with Purpose the courteous and the respect, even if they weren't going to listen to their suggestion on how to extract that car. It seems to me that they should have given them at least the courtesy and respect to say, hey, we know you deal with this a long time. We're going to do it this way. Would you do it that way?
Yeah. Right. That too bad, because then they just would have brought it out and preserved maybe more. But who knows is there enough in there even to preserve it? Because it seems like she was under there for 2 hours, and this medical examiner that Trudy Ron had on, they said that, okay, definitely if she went in already deceased and water got into her lungs, she might have been to the point that 2 weeks that everything was filled with water, that it would be hard to distinguish water from drowning versus water from being waterlogged. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's upsetting because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people out there that are following you and Dolly and all these people that are going to be like upset because it's going to come back inconclusive, in the end. I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
I've given my audience, if they unless they come out with some major information to explain how that girl got back there, I have promised the audience, and they've asked me. It's not like I'm threatening people. I got to tell you guys a story. I'm not threatening people with a bullhorn, but I do plan on, if they do state this as an accident and they can't explain to us how she got back there, I do plan on protesting. I do plan on coordinating a protest in that area.
Thank goodness.
For clarification, so people don't beat me up because Bullhorn Betty's got the bullhorn. It was
oh good. Well, at least you have a backup plan. That's good. Yeah. I think that's great. That's great. I think that's a great that you're there, that you're going to do, because I think that would really be so difficult for people to stomach, because it seems like everybody's saying that this can't really be an accident. There's a tiny possibility that everything went right, and it could be an accident, but it's such a small possibility. So many things had to fall directly into place, and I think with, as far as what happened to her, some kind of overdose or something got her.
Well, and I'm going to go over that right where you said in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and, Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and bring you forward, but I wanted to read some of these comments. If you want to keep your video or your camera on, you can, but I'm pulling you forward now. Okay, hold on just real quick, Michelle. So Flight School says Sammy's best friend Jackie has deleted all pictures on her regular IG account and her second IG account used for party photos, as well as deleted on TikTok. So people are starting to remove these photos. It makes me odd, because why are the people removing these photos from the internet, especially if it's clearing people? You would think that they would want to flood the streets with these photos to say, hey, we didn't have nothing to do with it. This is what happened. Even Sami. Why is it Sami coming out and producing some of those photos and videos that she collected along the way to prove that she didn't have anything to do with this? Nothing.
Well, and a lot of that could be, they could be getting a lot of internet trolls and people going on their pages and commenting stuff, and so they may be getting tired of that and wanting to pull everything down because of that reason. I don't know.
Aurora Mornings, Morning says Truckee High School grad ceremony videos still on YouTube. All the potential party goers' names. Saw Sami and Elsa. Didn't get all through it yet. Pop Kids cheered for. Okay. If you can send me anything you find to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'd like to look at those, especially the grad ceremony videos, as well as people's names. Like I said, I'm not short of names right now. I can tell you that. I'm not short of names. I was just kind of funny because I just thought it was funny because they're starting to pass around this gentleman's name, Matthew Rodriguez Rivas, which his occupation is at the Chick-fil-A, but he's 18 years old, and he's having some female issues. And then we got that Nate character that has some female issues. And this one, at least his girl is still alive. Nate, his didn't make it. So, and these are kids that are hanging out with each other, and it's making me wonder what the heck is going on here. So, there's just a lot going on. Michelle, how you doing? Hello, Michelle. Yep, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened. My StreamYard, for some reason, it cut out and it was having a problem. I couldn't hear you. It froze. So it's very nice speaking with you. I recently found your channel just a few days ago, and I've been binge watching all your videos.
Oh, good.
And I love the way that you approach everything, whether it be controversial or somebody with nasty comments. You always approach it with a cool head and kindness, and you always keep the focus on Kiely and not the drama that people are trying to bring forward. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's also very hard to do
It
at
is.
times.
It's a balance. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely, and the other thing is right from the minute that I heard, I saw Adventure with Purpose's video with the roadside assistance guy, I immediately thought she was in the trunk, they had her covered up, and they were doing what they were doing to stop him from going to the rear of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was just laying out there, in plain sight. I do think they probably threw stuff back there to cover her up and panicked because they couldn't get the car started because they weren't familiar with her car, thought it was dead, and had no choice but to call. That's why they moved to the other lake. And I know other people have said this. But part of what I think, I really don't think it's Jagger. I mean, I've gone back and forth with it, but I really think that maybe part of the reason why law enforcement kind of comes off seeming like they're very lax is that maybe Nate that is in jail is the Nate that was the ex-boyfriend, and he's already in jail, and maybe what happened with Kiely is what initially led to his arrest. And you know what I mean? I think they maybe put it all together and arrested him now at that moment because of Kiely. And maybe they have a confession from him or, something. But I definitely think that that's a good possibility, is that the Nate is in jail, and that's why they're not seeming like they are, crazy on top of it, because I think they already know the answer.
Now, I as far as going on that line, I will say that from where I'm at and where I live, if there is a suspect that is incarcerated on another offense and they suspect him of a different offense and they're investigating it, a lot of times they will place a hold on him just in case there is like a bond set and he's able to bond it. And I know he's in there on a murder charge, so he's not going to be getting bonded out on that. But a lot of times they will place some kind of a hold on him to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere so they can finish up what they do. So I haven't been able to find his record from where he was arrested, so I don't know what kind of charges he's on. I know it's the murder charge, but I don't know if they've got a hold on him or not. So that would be interesting to find out.
Gotcha. We'll find something. I'm gonna find something because I think this is kind of important. If I can find it. See if I can find it.
Nobody knows what Kylie's boyfriend Nate's last name was, right?
We've got a few. I've heard several different ones that have popped up. I'm not sure which one is the exact name, but there is about 4 or 5 in their group, maybe less, in their actual physical group. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's the Kabakunga guy that's in jail. I thought it was like Nebom or something weird with an N, but I can't be 100%. I really can't.
I just think it's the timing of his arrest is very suspicious to me that he's involved with Kiely.
Yeah. So I also wanted to bring this up to you guys too. I'm gonna let you guys listen to this. Hold on a second.
So creamy.
Yeah. And this is some importance here.
And if anybody else out there, if you know where she is, if you know anything about where she might be, if you have any ideas or thoughts, please come forward and share them. And we're not looking to like bust anybody else or get anybody
else in trouble. And I actually brought this up on Dolly's channel earlier today. Here we have law enforcement agents, coming out in mainstream media and telling us that they want all the kids to come forward. They're not looking to arrest on petty drug charges or, anything related to underage, stuff. But was that really true? Were they doing things that we, the public around the country, didn't know they were doing in their own county? Is there a reason why these children chose to clam up? Was it forced upon them because of the actions of law enforcement in a critical time of this investigation? I'm uncovering that it appears while they were telling the public, while law enforcement was telling us to our face on mainstream media that they're letting these kids, they just want the kids to come forward. That's all they want. They want these children to come forward, tell us what they know. They're not going to arrest them. Just open your mouths, tell us what's going on with these kids. We won't arrest you. And then we find out that here they are arresting people and throwing them into jail. Let's talk about some of the charges that they're throwing them into jail for. They're throwing them into jail for out-of-state warrants. They were throwing them into jail for carrying a concealed loaded weapon. I mean, you can kind of understand that. This is another one that's a 29-year-old male that is in Placer County, but he might be a gang member. This appears to be a gang style type of thing, but he was arrested for attempted murder. But right on August 10th, August 10th, right after she was arrested, I've got 11 people that were arrested between August 7th that were in our age group. This is not all the people that were arrested by any stretch of the imagination, but I was looking for arrests for the ages of 18 to 29. And there was 11 people that met that criteria from August 7th to August 13th that got arrested. Out of those, on August 10th, it had the most arrests, and August 10th arrests were 4. They had 4 children or teenagers, young adults that were arrested for a number of things, from resisting arrest to transportation and selling of narcotics, obstruction, transportation, selling of narcotics. Then we have the Nathaniel Caliconga that was arrested on that same exact day that all these other drug dealers and people are getting arrested. And again, this is just for the kids. This is just for the people 29 years and under. And so I found it awfully odd that you're asking people to come out and talk, that you won't arrest them, but here they are hearing from their friends that their friends are getting arrested for these drugs and other minor offenses. And maybe that's the reason why these kids are claiming up. That's just from what I was able to find. So this idea that law enforcement wasn't throwing these kids in jail is bullshit. Excuse my language. What is,
like they maybe took deals to talk a little, possibly, to get.
I don't know, but can you imagine?
Or...
Can you imagine hearing on the news that you can come to them and talk to them and tell them something, and you won't go to jail, and next thing you know, you're turning around and going to jail in handcuffs? That's a good way to make kids talk.
Yeah, but I mean that's the old trick in the book for law enforcement, you know.
Oh no, I agree with the tactic. Yeah. I agree with the tactic, but these kids are very coordinated. We have 400 kids that were able to basically erase every single photo of a party off the internet, which is next to impossible. These kids were able to do, and now you have kids going to jail. And then right after they pull her up, you have one of the largest pill busts in that area of with 50,000 pills 4 days after she. It sounds like that this is leaning toward an OD, in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah. No, and I can.
And maybe they or maybe they found out who was the supplier to get hired. Do you know what I mean? Use the kids as leverage to figure out the next person, and then so that's why these kids spoke early and they're shutting up, and they maybe took all their photos and had them take early on, and that's why there's no photos. But did you hear Dolly say that there's this Be Real app where everything, and there's these disappearing apps too where things disappear, these, so they're not posting on Instagram and not Facebook, but you know what I mean, or Snap. They're using different apps and things. That's why maybe there's not any pictures, but it seems 300 or 400 people, somebody would have came forward, would have popped on a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? It seems it's interesting that there's just hush from everybody. But I think Sami did get in there early and hush. She was a little bit of a ringleader and knew what to say and
she knew. Guys, I'm telling you, I've never seen she looks like she's a party girl, right? I have never seen a party girl get her crap together so quickly in such amount of time and be able to coordinate such a big effort.
Lawyer in the family. That's why.
I'm just
Lawyer.
saying, you
I
know.
don't know. Did you see the video of her out at the water when they were searching for Kiely and she had the beer and
Yeah.
the headlamp on and all? So that to me just
Sorry, guys, my allergies.
that to me just seems like it's a big game to her.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I actually said on Dolly's channel that her parents are in complete denial about the condition of their child. Their child is girls gone wild. She's got a drug problem. I can look right
And
at
she's
her
smart.
and tell her she's got a pill problem. If nothing more, that young lady has got a pill problem. Her family needs to get her help.
Yeah, and that could lead right back to fentanyl being the cause of all of this. You know, something
What if
laced with
she was the
fentanyl.
dealer out there?
Yeah,
My
she was
Very
like,
well
who
could
was
be.
like collecting money? So wasn't somebody like getting Venmo for like drinks?
Yeah, that was
or
a
something?
Sami Bono. He was selling the
okay.
booze out there. And again, it comes down to this: like, if I was 43 years old out there selling booze to kids, I would.
Weird.
The FTA would be so far up my jump that it wouldn't be funny. Where's the FTA? Why aren't these kids being charged with those? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here complaining about the kids not being charged, but you know what? At the end of the day, there's a child that was sunk to the bottom of a lake. And I'm sorry, I personally don't believe it was an accident. And at this point, if people have got to go to jail,
No way.
then people got to go to jail.
Yeah.
And something I will say earlier, I think Zoe was talking about it as far as once the autopsy is finished and we find out what happened, I pray and I hope that this family does go and get a private autopsy done. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this. I will say that in my town we had a situation where there was a death inside of the jail here, and it was covered up for months because the law enforcement didn't want to take any responsibility for what happened. And it was ruled that the guy died of a heart attack, and the family put a GoFundMe out there and raised the money and had him exhumed and had a private autopsy done, and it come back that he had a broken neck.
Well,
And so,
listen, yeah, that's a shame. But it sounds like the Rodni family was able to the last before they shut the GoFundMe page down, it had $65,000 in it. You know, I would think if they're going to take that money, that they utilize that money in getting an autopsy. But you know, I don't know how confident these parents are. I mean, if they believe their law enforcement counterparts, you know, they're just going to listen to whatever they say. They're not going to push it. But I'm sorry, if I was up here, it's to me, it seems like, and I could be wrong. I could be completely misjudging Kiely's mom. But to me, it seems like dad's going to be pushing this to go a little further than mom. And I don't quite understand that.
yeah, I mean, mom seems like she's a little naive in the situation, and she just kind of.
I feel bad for her because, like, even watching
I
that little clip right there, it breaks my heart. You can feel her, like, her emotion, her pain. This woman is a terrified woman just wanting her child back, and you feel it every time. Like, I watched the very first video of her, and she's calm. She's like, "We're gonna find you." You know, she was so, you could tell she was really trying to keep her hope up, and you physically watched her deteriorate every single day. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible situation to be in, you know, and my heart goes out to anybody that is close to her and that's involved with her in any kind of way. But somebody's responsible, and that's got to be the number one priority for everybody, is to just figure it out, put those people behind bars, and make sure it's justice in this case. Because that's the thing that worries me the most.
Yeah, I feel bad for her, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's going to suck because, you know, during this process, it's, you know, we're going to be, this is YouTube, we're true crime. We're going to be digging into literally every aspect of this case. And I feel bad because, you know, mom's suffering, and we're probably going to, you know, this is not, I can tell you, YouTube is not the place for families that are suffering. If you lost a loved one, just as a disclaimer, don't watch me. Don't watch other creators out here. We have open, candid discussions. This is not the place for a grieving family member whatsoever. This is not the place. There's a time and place for everything. This isn't the time or place. So I hope all the family and friends are staying off YouTube and off online during this difficult time. I really do.
You know, I completely agree.
I agree.
It's
Also,
sad, you know. I mean, I'd want them on. I'd love to have a conversation with them. I'd love them to, you know, to tell them personally, you know, I'm sorry, you know, sorry for your loss. But this, you know, I'm not seeking them. I've got enough. Trust me, I've got 43 people right here that need to be looked into, and I don't even have time to look into them. And somebody could be potentially the one that did this, right? So. But I think we're onto something, you know. Everything that you do look at in the grand scheme of things really does kind of point to Sami. But my biggest concern is I'm so scared that we're being so laser focused on Sami that we're missing something, and we're missing something that could point to another person.
Well, and as soon as that WP video dropped, that's how everybody was with Jagger. Everybody went straight to Jagger, thinking just because of the SF hat that's who it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just terrified that, you know, we're here to help, but I you know, I want to focus people in the right direction. Something happened out there. So, I mean, we are down to, I don't think 400 people are responsible. I think maybe a small section of that. I would say probably a dozen people or less know exactly what happened out there.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way.
Yeah. So Clayton, any final words?
No, just great job. I enjoy listening to you and seeing what you're doing, and all the other creators out there. Just keep digging in and trying to find what you can. So, you know, it's a fascinating case. It's a heartbreaking case, but I think that what all these YouTubers and different people are doing is necessary. And like I've said from yesterday, you know, differing opinions is welcome, and it should be. And that's how you get answers.
And not only that, but think about, like, just for me personally throughout this journey, you know, that from the start of, you know, I think we started hearing about this right about August 7th, 8th. I think it was about August 8th, August 9th is when we started hearing about this case.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at myself in how my thought process was when this case first came out. And everybody coming in here and telling me this and telling me that, and me just being stubborn and just like, okay, I know that this has got to be what it is. I realized that having this open chat, having this open dialogue has helped me understand. Like, even when you came on, when I first met you, I think it was yesterday, and we were talking about, you know, how the car got over there and how, you know, what Adventures with Purpose said about the car being there when they did the search, and the car also being over there. And I was confused. I thought, well, maybe what they meant is they thought those people, that the car was already in the water. And you explained it to me. Had you not come up, or we had not gotten that open panel, I would not have had that understanding of what he was trying to say in that respect. You know, so it does. And if it's helping me, you know, figuring this stuff out, or at least giving me a new perspective, it's helping somebody else in the chat. I've got 938 people right now that are looking for information about this case, and all this stuff is relevant to them. It's relevant to me.
Yeah, and I think that it's important we all work together. We're all want the same outcome, and you know, no matter what you think or I think or anybody else thinks, we all collectively can come to the bottom of it and figure it all out. So, and to me, that's the most important thing in the end. You know, no matter how controversial some people's opinion may be, it's important. You know, it's important to go down that road a little while and see what you can find out, because you never know. You never know where it
We're
leads.
definitely looking. I'm looking at every possibility and just trying to find any, because the one thing we don't have is a whole lot of names of people out there. So, you know, where do you dig for names of people that like to, you know, abuse alcohol and drugs? Jail rosters.
Well, welcome to my life. That's what I do for a living. So, you know, I've got people all the time that, you know, these people don't have email address. They don't have anything. They don't have, you know, good luck. They don't have bank accounts. They don't have nothing. So I'm out here chasing ghosts every day. You know? But
well, technically I am too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. But I sure do appreciate you having me on. And if there's ever anything I can help you with as far as looking at anything or doing anything, just let me know.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank y'all.
Can I say
Bye-bye.
something real quick?
Yeah, no, I'm not kicking people out yet.
Okay.
I'm going through the people now. So go ahead, Michelle.
All right. I know there's people out there questioning and saying that the YouTuber that found the computer and all her stuff, that it's fake, and there are people that are questioning it. But he was on another true true crime channel, and he actually, Kylie's father went out there. Not only the grandfather, but the father went out there and asked him to dive again and see what else he could retrieve. And he was out there for like 3 hours with the father. And that's how her computer, and all her stuff, he also found like a beanie and some other stuff. And
Well, Michelle, let me put it like this to you. I believe he found it. I believe law enforcement left it. I believe that is because me and our team experienced the same thing with Gabby's water bottle, and it was funny because I happened to be on. We were chatting on Dolly Vision's channel. I can't remember if I was on panel or if I was just in the chat. But when he brought up that they're starting to find this, check Check It TV had it out. I said, just wait. I said, it'll all be fake before the evening. I even said that. They're going to say it's fake because we dealt with it. I dealt with it myself. Anytime any creator finds something, it's automatically deemed fake.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's insane that he found it. I mean, the fact that law enforcement just left it there.
And he had all the evidence. Like, he showed his receipts. He was out there with his live. I'm sorry, but he showed receipts. That was his receipts.
And he stayed out there calling law enforcement for hours before he touched anything. Because he didn't want to touch anything and move it.
Trust me, I know. Same thing. We called them. We literally they refused to take the water bottle. We actually bagged the water bottle for them, took it with us, and argued with them on Twitter for 2.5 hours before we convinced them and the FBI that, and actually we were arguing with the Northport City Police Department. And finally, the FBI reached out to them and told them, you need to get that water bottle. And so then Northport reaches out to us and says, do you still have that water bottle? It's like, yeah, thank goodness we didn't throw it away like you told us to.
I think that's the part that blows my mind the most, is that the FBI was there and involved, and they didn't collect the evidence.
They were there out Brian Laundrie's thing. They didn't collect the evidence either. So, and I was so mad about that because that was the first time, I've always been taught, because again, we watched the Joe Kendas, the forensic files, all this stuff for decades and decades, that it's not, law enforcement is just a bag and tag. It's for the forensics, the testing and the labs to determine what is relevant to the case and what isn't. We've always been taught you grab everything because you never know what that tiny little piece of evidence that will break the case wide open will be.
Yeah. And another thing, even if they don't find her phone, won't they be able to, through the phone company, at least retrieve her text messages?
Yeah, they'll be able to get something through the phone company, yeah, without a doubt.
Text messages and maybe her photos from her cloud. And stuff like that. I mean, I do think that it's a very high possibility that it was an overdose, but I don't know if it was accidental or if somebody drugged her.
I'm so scared that somebody did, spiked her. But because of what I've been doing and what I've heard, seen it, and touched and felt and everything like that, it could go either way in this particular case because of the stuff. Like I said, I'm not here to disparage anybody. Nothing that girl could have ever done should she have lost her life over.
No, absolutely. And you know what? It's normal for a teenager to experiment.
It is.
The problem is, I have a 14-year-old and 15-year-old boy right now, and I talk to them regularly about, how it's different now where, back when we were younger and back before that, people did. It is normal to experiment with things, but everything today is laced with that fentanyl, and it's killing so many people. And it could just be one time, and that's it. And maybe what if and even if she only even drank and somebody put something in her drink.
Yeah, but guess what? Guess who was passing drinks back and forth with her?
Sammy. That's all I keep thinking about is
all roads. Everything leads to Sammy.
To say how they were sharing their drinks back and forth. Is that because Sammy didn't want it to seem like Kiely was drugged because she was drinking the same thing as her? Because why would you even bring that up? That you were sharing drinks with her? It just seems to me like that was her trying to cover up, the possibility of Kiely being drugged, because if they were both drinking and sharing all their drinks, that couldn't be the possibility.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, I can't, when we were younger and there was free flowing drinks at a party, I don't recall ever splitting drinks with my girlfriends.
No.
When you have a whole bunch of booze at a party, we all had our own drinks. Now, did we say, "Ooh, what did you get? Oh, what did you get? Ooh, let me try that." Did we do something like that? Sure we did. But this idea that we're attached at the hip and just passing the booze glass back and forth.
Right. If you time I ever shared drinks, like, other than the "let me taste what you have" and take one little sip, is when we went to a bar and they had those fish bowls.
Oh, yeah. Where you
would
the straws and you suck them down real quick.
But that's because, you're going out and it's $15, $20 for a fish bowl, so you share it. I buy this one, you buy the next one.
Her own fish bowl. It had her name tattooed on it. So they knew I was coming. They filled it up and put it through, a couple extra shots in there for me.
Oh, I'm just so worried that this is going to go. It's going to be non-prosecutable because of the errors that law enforcement has made.
It's sad, but we're going to still, just like with Summer Wells and Michael Vaughn, we're still going to give hope. We're going to still pray. We're going to leave this in God's hands. We're going to, let the chips fall where they're going to fall. Yep. And then we as a group collectively will figure out what we do from there, because I want to hear what they have to say. I don't want to just, have a knee-jerk reaction. I want to hear what they have to say, and I want to process it, and I want to research it and see if what they're saying to us is true. Because to be honest with you, just like many others, I got trust issues. I got trust issues with everyone. I got trust issues with our creators. I got trust issues with law enforcement. I got trust issues. It's just it just is what it is. Right. So I'm skeptical, and I think the trust issues is really just being skeptical of information. And in the true crime industry, we not only are skeptical of literally everything, we overanalyze literally everything.
Right. And I think you have to be, regardless, because whether or not there's any shady crap going on here or there's not, it happens, and we all know it happens. So when it comes to things like that, you have to be skeptical. Mm-hmm. And if nobody's there to, look into everything right behind them and do their own digging and research, they would never be held accountable ever for covering anything up,
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, I got this magnifying glass here, which is really awesome. Look at it. Hi, guys. Look at that. But not only that, but I have somebody that is creating some thumbnails for me. I do still some of my own, but I do have somebody that's been submitting thumbnails. If anybody else wants to submit thumbnails, you're more than welcome. If I like them, I'll use them when I can. Submit them to bullhornbetty@gmail.com. But anyway, the girl did one of my thumbnails, and she did the rendering of me like the cartoon, and she put me a little magnifying glass. So here I am. Hey. I'm being Detective Bullhorn.
You know what else I wanted to ask you? I don't know if it's been removed or if you'll tell me or can. Who I know I saw it when the video was first put out by Adventures with Purpose. I think it was a day or two later, when I don't remember who it was, came forward and said they removed the blur and they were able to see. I did see it then, but I don't remember who it was, and I haven't been able to find it again.
Well, I did my own thing. I could, I wasn't watching Justice for All's video, but I did talk to another creator, and they told me about it, where they were kind of going through it, and I had downloaded the video myself. So I did the same thing, and I was able to see her underwater, but it was so vague and such almost dreamy like you couldn't right. You could make out that her eyes were closed, you could make out her nose, you could make out her face, that her face was her, but it was just, it almost looked like a it was just it wasn't clear. It wasn't like gross or anything like that, because you could only make out, just minor features. But what I could make out is that she appeared in all practicality to be in decent shape.
Yeah.
But again, being where she was, and if that strap truly was going over her, then we got a problem. And I would like somebody, if they try to say this is an accident, you explain that one aspect of it, because even if somebody else was driving that car and you perceive it as an accident, how the hell did she get strapped into the cargo area of her vehicle?
Right.
She didn't do that to herself.
And I believe she was strapped into the cargo, and that belt was intentionally closed into the trunk to make sure it was as secure as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I also don't think she went into the water until they did their search of Prosser Lake on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she went into the water till after that. And, Nick had said you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a body that's been decomposing in water for 14 days or for 12 days. So he says he thinks it's very possible she wasn't in there when the original search was done.
Which brings me to another, let me find it real quick. It brings me to another thing. I'll read this here. And then Zoe, we'll get to you in just a second. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you, honey. But this is, where is it? I thought I just had it up. Hold on a second. Is this it? Give me a second while nope, it's not. What did I just do? Did I just accidentally delete it? Hold on a second. I just had it up. I know I did. There it is. So it said, so this was from, this just was released yesterday. Turn this off so it doesn't make any noise. And it says, and so I went right here and it says, let's see what else it has in here. Does it have anything? Kiely went missing on August 6th. Yes, we know that. Public officer for Nevada County Sheriff says there's nothing additional to share at this point. We are waiting for the final autopsy report which will include the toxicology report. Here's the important thing. They specifically state that once the information is certified, it will be shared. So, remember, everybody was up in the air as to whether the autopsy and the toxicology report would be released to the public. They're saying once the information is certified, it will be shared.
Well,
so
that's good,
it sounds like they're going to share it.
Yeah, I was worried that more the mom than the dad, that she was going to say, no, she's a minor and I don't want it released.
Right. Which I don't think they're going to be able to say that, because they're going to have to use it for all their reports and all their investigation, which is open to the public.
Right.
So they'll be able to redact some private information according to the statute that I read. But I never thought for 1 minute that they could totally not share anything related to this report because of the great public concern around this case. So I knew, and I read their statutes, the California statutes related to that. And that was one of the requirements, or one of the things, is if it's of great public concern, then certain things could be at. And people are talking about HIPAA. Well, what I did find out while I was reading is that, a coroner and a medical examiner are not your doctor.
Right.
They're not your doctor. They have, from my understanding, no duty. I mean, I could be misunderstanding this, but I don't think that they have a duty for, to protect the HIPAA rights, because I don't think they have HIPAA rights whenever they go to the coroner.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't read the case law on it, and I just read the statutes, and the statutes could have, depending on what the case law states, could mean something totally different. But just on the face of it, that's what I garnered from it. So it says here, both Highway Patrol. So this is another thing that I brought up on this channel about the parallel investigation. They've confirmed that here as well. Both California Highway Patrol and the Nevada County Sheriff are working separately and meeting regularly to come up with conclusions about what may have happened the night Kiely disappeared. So they are conducting two parallel investigations, which is what I originally had told the audience here, that I believe there is a parallel investigation with the sheriff's office not just the the highway patrol. And they're confirming that in this article. So that's good. I mean, at least I'm getting some information, accurate when I don't really have a whole lot of facts to go off of, And it says the investigation likely will be able to tell things such as what was happening to the car before it went into the water, and could include things such as if it was in gear, if the brakes were used, if it was hit, if it was pushed, or if it was driven into the water, or if it had any mechanical issues. So that's another key piece of evidence that people aren't taking into consideration. Like, they're going to be able to tell us whether this car was hit, pulled, or driven into that water. That's going to be huge, at least for somebody like me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here. It says, while Elder's team is working to tell the story of the car, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office continues to hunt down leads as to what may have happened to Kiely, including if foul play or drugs were involved. This is what I've been wanting to hear right here. And this, like I said, this article was just released just recently. And it appears that whoever wrote this article had contact. This is from the Reno Gazette Journal. And it does sound like they did have conversations with investigators as well as the sheriff in this. So, I'm going to try to just chill. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to just chill and see what they come up, because this is the first time that I've heard that law enforcement are looking at the drug aspect as well as the foul play aspect. This is the first time.
Yeah. But the other thing that makes me think maybe this is the only thing that makes me think maybe drugs is not the cause of death, is that Doug said if the investigation goes a certain way and certain things happen, how they'll release the other video.
Mm-hmm. And
he said, and that the way that will go will blow your mind.
Yeah.
And then
something's not right here. I stand with Doug. I stand with Doug on this because I stand with Adventures with Purpose on this because I, one, believe in them. Right. And two, because I don't see what motive. I mean, everybody's talking about, clicks, views, and money. Look, guys, they have over 2 million. Trust me, they're doing just fine.
They don't need this for clicks.
No, they're doing just fine. I mean, with any kind of operation like this, you're always going to have financial issues because you need better, bigger equipment. This stuff costs thousands and thousands of dollars. But as far as them making money, they're doing just fine on their channel. Have you seen their channel? Their channel's popping. And it was popping long before Kylie's case came along. So this idea that they just jumped on the bandwagon just to get clicks and views, it couldn't be further from the truth based on what I'm seeing.
Right. I actually, even before this case, had my kids go on to YouTube and subscribe and like their videos, and just to give them that enactment that will help them when you get the clicks and the likes and the
Steve H., I did not know you were a creator. Somebody told me about you this morning on Dolly Vision, so it's nice to see you. I did get an opportunity to see some of your work. Just wanted to give you a shout out. Don't know you, but I'm Bullhorn Betty, so it's nice to see you and meet you. All right, hold on, Michelle. Let me get to Zoe. Zoe's kind of been back here.
Go ahead.
So Zoe,
yeah, I've been playing with my dog, so I muted myself so you don't hear balls bouncing and stuff. But I've just been listening and just it's so fascinating just to hear everybody's different opinions and views, and I think I think it's a waiting game, like you said. You have to wait. We're gonna have to wait and see and be a little patient and like let certain things unfold, and hope that it doesn't become inclusive because of all maybe they already have enough information possibly that we don't know about. We don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. So it could be that they know more, but I just really hope it's not. But at least you're the backup, that you're going to go there with your bullhorn if they do say it's an accident.
I'm not a backup. You guys are coming with me. I can't do it.
I'm in California, so I could meet you up there.
It's not effective.
Okay, I'll meet you up there then.
There you go.
I'm in California. But I think what's fascinating about this is the crowdsourcing. Like when I heard about that bottle with you and with the brine, I thought it was fake or planted. You know what I mean? So you just never know. And then I just found out recently that you found that. I was like, oh my.
Well, I was right behind Olivia.
You and
It was
Olivia,
and JJ that actually found it, but they were.
But
just
you were out there,
Yeah, but we were out there. But everybody kept saying, and I finally put a video of all of our videos together to one show that law enforcement was out there with us. We had Mike Ruiz from Fox News out there with us. I mean, the idea of us planting this, there really was no opportunity. First of all, I would never plant anything anyways because it's an investigation.
No.
And somebody doing something like that, you can go to jail for. Like, I love my freedom. But over and above that, the bottom line is that I had never seen evidence like this left at a case until this case. Like, we were kind of flapping out there. We've been trying to defend ourselves against the attacks that we planted it because we just don't do crap like that. It just doesn't happen. And then I knew that it was going to come out that they were going to say, check it. I don't know who the guy is. Not really a fan of him. He has like kind of a pompous attitude. He seems fake to me. So it's not like I'm giving him a whole lot of credit, but I do believe what he was because he did show the receipts. That stuff was washing up on shore. I do believe
he fell into it. Yeah. It was in his backyard, so he fell into it. He didn't go search. I mean, he did go search it out where he was, but I don't think he knows how to deal with like the whole YouTube community and the etiquette and the rules and the fair use and stuff.
Yeah.
So he kind of got like a school.
Well, he's actually people misuse the fair use stuff all the time. I've been an advocate of it.
Oh yeah.
It happens, and you just got to decide: is it worth the fight or is it not? If it's worth the fight after it gets too crazy, then I'll pick up the fight. But I really do try to just let it be. If it's palatable, I'll let it be.
That's what I like about you and Dolly. You kind of like let it kind of roll and see what's coming in and gather things before kind of making an assumption. I mean, there's just so many different theories here is the problem. And I think, like you said, we have to wait and see and get more details because there's a lot of factors, even with the autopsy, like who is going to be a forensic autopsy. We don't know any of this. So, and that's so like, it really makes a huge difference because it's a smaller town and they don't have these resources and their sheriff and coroner and public spirit, they're all the same person.
Yeah.
And that leads to conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
And
then
if the sheriff wants to look better and get funding.
Yeah. And so in this article, it says, in the absence of new information, internet fills the void with rumors. And it's like, come on, like seriously, we're filling the void with rumors. Like we're having a discussion. We're speculating on the limited information that law enforcement wants to give us. When a girl was found in the hatch of her car, rumors?
If they listened to half of this, they could probably solve the case a lot quicker if they listened to some of this.
Spot in the Adventures with Purpose. Remember that spot where they said, he was reading that text message. He's like, people are saying this is rumors, but are they telling us more, that there's more there? Like people were leaking this stuff, but is it really rumor or are people trying to tell us the truth?
Yeah. It's like a fine line sometimes, you know what I mean? Especially when you have people trying to conceal the truth.
Yep.
With like Sami, that one thing, that thing that keeps coming in my head when I heard her say about, drinking from the same cup, like the last caller, she was talking about that. Like nobody does that really. Do you know what I mean? And she said that for a reason. Let's be honest, right? She completely said that for a reason. So there's just like a lot of loose ends, but I really hope it doesn't become one of these, like it's called cause unknown pending police investigation. They call it a cuppy. Yeah, right. And so it's leading towards that just by the way they're acting, you know what I mean? Like their silence and their mismanagement of the evidence so poorly, Yeah,
there's a lot going on here. There's no doubt about that. I really wish that they would get their acts together in here. Guys, we have like 900 people in the chat right now and only like 550 likes. If you guys could go out there, we're going to be wrapping up this segment. If you guys can make sure you go out there and give me a thumbs up, it's free to say thank you to Bullhorn Betty. So I'd really appreciate it, and it helps this video get out there. We've covered a lot of great information on this video, so you don't want to keep it a secret. If it's information that you feel somebody else can use, pass it on. Get it posted in the, Kiely Rodni chat groups. And, just start spreading the message, because we need to find out what happened. If it's not Sami, who is it? Are we being laser focused on Sami? Because right now, everything seems to lead right to Sami's front door. And we're going to keep going down this and talking about it. Zoe, I want to thank you for coming on. Michelle,
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Michelle, I'm not going to be able to bring you back up. We're over our 2 hours. We're actually 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I've got another live to do at 6 o'clock tonight. So I've got to prepare for that. There's not a whole lot of time to prepare for that. But guys, I want to thank you for coming and spending time with me. I'm going to tell you guys a story. Tell you a story. I'm not angry. I'm a little frustrated at this whole case, And as creators, we get a little passionate and almost, and I know sometimes I show a lot of emotion, especially with this case, because it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see law enforcement make such horrible failures and mistakes that are costing. It's just frustrating to know that they didn't take this case seriously as a criminal investigation, because had they would have collected every single little hair, nail, fiber, speck of dirt that they could possibly collect. And when we see things just scattered on the bottom of a lake, we realize how poorly they failed at keeping all the forensic evidence together and following the proper chain of custody, which we're going to have problems with, later down the road. I'm curious how they're going to handle that. Does it mean that these people are going to walk if somebody was involved? No, it doesn't. Let's not go there yet. But it does cause problems. We can all agree with that. So, and it was funny because I was talking to a friend and they're like, you need to liven up a little bit. You need to have more fun. They need to see the bubbly personality, right? I'm not a funny person. I'm kind of serious, like behind the scenes, hanging out with my friends. I'm funny, I'm bubbly, and have a great time. And that's what my friends get to see. But when I'm on here, I'm serious. So they're telling me I need to quit being so serious. So I'm working on it. I'm working on the seriousness, because in the end of the day, I do have a vested interest in these cases because, one, I want to help. And two, I want to tell their story. And three, I want to expose, whether it's getting their face in front of as many people as possible or exposing the persons that might have caused this. I want to help. And so it's passionate for me, it pulls at my heartstrings of a human being with real emotions. And so I try to make it as fun and enjoyable as possible, but this stuff is serious and it's kind of hard to joke around for me when I'm talking about somebody losing their life, but I'm working on it. I got a great group of friends. I got a great group of creators out there that we collaborate with, we throw things off of. I mean, Justice for All is one of them, JLR, Chronicles of Olivia. Marissa and I still chat. I chat with a bunch of other creators, and we throw things off of each other. We share information, and we try to, work together so that all of our audiences are getting the most up-to-date and as factual information as possible. Are we going to speculate? Of course we are. Will we stop speculating? Of course not. Will we provide our opinions? Of course we will. Will we stop providing our opinions? Probably not. But, it's just the name of the game. We're on YouTube for a reason, right? Everybody has their job here on YouTube. So you do your job well, I do my job well, and we'll all have a good time. Anyways, guys, God bless each and every one of you. Hopefully we find out the answers that, to Kiely Rodni's disappearance as well as her death. And it does appear that they are going to be coming out, which brings me to the next thing on this article. It appears that they're going to be releasing that information in the coming weeks. It doesn't sound like they're going to keep that information too close to their chest. It appears that they will release it as soon as they get it. I don't think they're going to make us wait until November 1st. Once it's certified, we should have it in our hot little hands So let's all just be patient. We're going to still go down speculation, station train, the whole gamut. And we're going to just try to do our best to piece this together. And one creator said it's all about saying, oh, you got it right the first. And it's not about like that for many of us creators. Are there some creators that want to go out there and throw out all their opinions? Look at me. I've thrown out like 15 or 20 different possibilities, theories that could have happened in this. Am I going to say, ooh, I was so smart, I got this one? Of course not, because I had 15 other ones that were incorrect. So we're just trying to throw out as much stuff as possible and just see if we can get some creative juices. Maybe somebody is thinking of something that I'm not thinking about or nobody else is thinking about. By opening up this panel, having a conversation, everybody getting to speak about it, it really does put a lot of perspective and helps guide us in what we think is happening. And who knows, a lot of the speculation may pan out. We will find out sooner than later. So God bless each and every one of you. Guys, go out and make it a great day, and don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something, because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Good day.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.